Let me say that again.
Yes,
Holding
yes.
resentment is like eating poison and then waiting for the other person to keel over. That's a quote he begins with. And then this is the reading. As a massage therapist in a hospital, Irene was assigned to give physical therapy to a cancer patient who, according to the doctor's prognosis, had but a short time to live. While Irene was treating Mrs. Harmon, she asked the elderly woman about the pain in her life. My greatest sorrow is that I have not spoken to my sister in 20 years, lamented Mrs. Harmon. When Irene encouraged the woman to talk about her long-held resentment, Mrs. Harmon burst into tears, reporting how hard it had been to hold a grudge against her sister, whom she truly loved. The
Yes.
two women embraced, and Mrs. Harmon reported that she felt relieved. The following week, when Irene returned to the hospital, she was surprised to find Mrs. Harmon dressed, wearing makeup, and looking significantly healthier. Where are you going? Asked Irene. Home, darling, Mrs. Harmon answered. When they took me in for the x-rays, they found no sign of cancer. When we hold on to anger, hurt, or resentment, we only hurt ourselves. I say that
Amen.
again. When we
Yes.
hold on to anger, hurt, or resentment, we only hurt ourselves. By withholding love from another, we deny it to ourselves. If you keep someone in prison with your thoughts, you have to sit at their jail door to keep them from escaping and
Indeed.
thus become a prisoner yourself.
Amen, my
To
sister.
free another is to free yourself. When you give the gift of release, your spirit is healed. I want you to listen to a few lines of this next song and think about whom you need to forgive today. Whom are you resenting? Listen to this song and let it be your prayer.
I want a heart that forgives, a heart full of love, one with compassion just like yours above, one that overcomes evil with goodness and love, like it never happened, never holding a grudge. Want a heart that forgives, lives and lets live, one that keeps loving over and over again, one that men can offend because your word is within, one that loves without pride like you, Lord Jesus Christ, want a heart that loves everybody.
Our prayer to your prayer be, lift all negativity, resentment, and sense of victimhood, dear Lord, from my heart. I want to recreate my relationships to reflect only love, honor, and healing.
Yes.
We give thanks that you hear us now and that you hear us always. We go forth in love, being free, giving freedom, releasing, letting go, knowing that when we can't forgive, Christ in us frees us from all harm and resentment. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for your love that is so unconditional that we can extend it to another. And as Jesus taught us, we forgive so that we may be forgiven. This is the truth. We let it be so. Thank you, God. Amen and amen.
And amen. Thank you so very much, Reverend Claudia,
You're welcome, my sister.
starting us off with this beautiful, beautiful expose on forgiveness, which is such an important lesson for all of us to learn, my dear listeners. Forgiveness is freeing ourselves, has nothing to do with anybody else. Freeing ourselves so that we may live healthy, happy, and prosperous lives. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Reverend Claudia. All the very best to you. And so, dear listeners, good morning again. We just want to remind you that this is a call-in station, and our telephone numbers are Area code 876-325-2101. Area code 876-399-4412. Also in area code 876-707-4711. Again, 876-707-4737. And then we have area code 876-372-8446 or 876-225-9478. You may call us, you may send us a WhatsApp message. We want to hear from you. So speak to us. Speak to us.
Oh, Lord, I need you, I need you. I know this is me that you're talking to. This is me, this is me, this is me, Lord, this is me. Lord, I let it go. Every person that's ever hurt me, gotta let it go.
Freedom. Be your own boss with City and Guilds and Distinction College certification at Distinction College. Start full-time, part-time in weekend classes in plumbing, air conditioning and refrigeration, motor vehicle repairs and electrical installation. No subjects required, no age limit, no entrance test. Register this week and get free courses at huge discounts. Licensed employment agencies will assist students with job opportunities overseas. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town and Ocho Rios or call 876-356-4167. Distinction College, the school of champions.
Good morning, good morning. We are rising and we are shining again. And this morning we have another exciting guest. You notice every week we have exciting guests. So here we come. And she's coming into her own music.
Make me a channel of your peace, where there
Good morning, Ambassador Aloun. How are you? Good morning.
Oh, good morning. I'm so sorry. I was muted. I needed to unmute myself.
Yes, thanks for unmuting yourself. It's a joy to have you with us this morning. How are you doing?
Morning. I'm doing well, I'm doing well. It's a little early for me.
Yes.
To to be up and doing all of this, but I'm glad to be here with your listeners.
Thank you. And the good
and
news,
your viewers too.
Exactly. And the good news is that you don't have to do it every morning. Isn't that good news?
It is great news. It is great news, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us this morning Ambassador Aloun Assamba. She is a trained lawyer. She has been a politician. She has been a diplomat. And she's now managing the largest credit union in our country. Ambassador Aloun does everything in multiples. So she went to 3 high schools, Ferncourt, Marlgrove, and Convent of Mercy Academy. She's also had a distinguished legal career. And, of course, the main point of her is being an active participant in dispute resolution. She studied it and she practiced it. And then she became a politician. She served as a member of parliament and she served as a minister of tourism. And then on to the world of diplomacy. And she did the highest, the plum job, as we say it in Jamaica's diplomatic service, when she served as the Jamaican High Commissioner to London, Northern Ireland, and so many other countries to which she was accredited. And now she's back home managing the City of Kingston Cooperative Credit Union. I would think that's your baby, isn't it, Ambassador?
Sometimes it would seem so, because this is my second time around at COK. I was there from 1988, and just as we were remembering Gilbert, I recall being at COK during Gilbert. I had started in January of 1988, and I went to COK for 2 years, and I ended up staying 12 years.
God bless you.
Until I went into politics. Well, no, I was at COK while I was a senator, and I had to leave, of course, when Prime Minister at the time appointed me Minister of State in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Science and Technology, it was at the time. Yeah, and then after I went off and did all the other things that I did, and I came back home, COK came for me again in 2016.
Right.
And again, I went there for 2 years, and it is going 4.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have had your highs. I mean, we have a picture of you presenting to the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, and you have had your very high moments in your career. But there have been some not so highs. Tell us about that and how you overcame the challenges that you faced.
I think the first thing that I need to say is that I am a Christian. I'm Roman Catholic. I grew up in the church.
Yes.
And therefore, anything that I've had to overcome, I've been able to do so by pulling on my faith.
Excellent.
I think that's what I said. But one of the things, a lot of people hear me talk about the spousal abuse that I have suffered. Not many people know about another very major thing that occurred in my life. And for me to talk about it this morning, I've had to have a discussion with my son.
Yes.
To ask him if he minded if I spoke about this, because it is not just my story, it is also his story.
Yes.
And this is the first time I'm going to actually speak about it in this way.
Okay.
My friends who went to university with me know about it. My friends who went to law school with me, or who were around in my life at that time, would know about it. But as I said, I never spoke about it before because of my son, and I wanted to not pull him into these things.
Yes.
I've been very protective of him in my public life for most of the times. In fact, I believe that I only went into politics because my son was abroad studying at the time. Because, you know, being in politics can be really rough on not just yourself, but also on your family. And I didn't want to have him deal with the things that came at you, that could come at me at that time. So it was good that he was abroad studying for most of the time.
So you want to talk about the spousal abuse first?
You know, I talk about that so much, but I think I'll put that in the context that I suffered spousal abuse. I made a decision that I had to get out of it. And I talk about it because, you know, there are people who feel that, why is she always talking about this? Why is she always talking about it? And I've been talking about that for about 30 years. And every time I speak about it publicly, it is as if somebody else has heard it.
But there are also thousands who have never heard it, you know.
Who had never heard it before.
Never.
And while I was healing from that experience with my counselor, we talked about why is it that I had this experience. And he said to me, because you will use your experience to help other people. And at the time I told him he was crazy, that this would never happen because Jamaica is too small, and how should I, a woman like me, talk about being abused in my intimate relationship because of the shame. You know, it took me 8 years to talk about it.
Okay.
And it is never easy to talk about it because of all of those things. But what I know is God has used me through that experience to help other people.
Great.
And so it is for that reason why I talk about it. I also recognize that I can talk about it because my ex-husband does not live here in Jamaica. And he therefore doesn't have to deal with my doing this. And so that is one of the things that I know a lot of people who are suffering from spousal abuse will not talk about it because they have to either interact or meet with or have to deal with either their ex-partner or people who know them.
Yes. I'm going to interrupt you a little while because we have a caller. Someone is calling in.
Yes.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, morning. How are you?
I'm great. You want to identify yourself, please?
Carl Little.
Yes.
A very good friend of Aloun Assamba.
Oh, great. Thanks for calling.
We grew up in church together.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're very active in the Catholic youth movement.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Hi, Carl.
And I would have said that my first encounter, if anything at all, with Aloun would have been as far back as Alpha.
Okay.
Alpha Academy. I was, a relative of the principal, the late principal, Sister Bernadette Little. And I remember the time when Aloun went to Alpha, it stirred up much, controversy at one time when she was appointed in a leadership position. But then, association basically developed, even after that, as Aloun had mentioned here, in the Catholic youth movement, we were together working on specific what you say, a specific movement to move the young people within the Catholic Church in a certain direction. You know, that is one of the good things. I think my association with her would have sort of, what do you say, blossomed then, let us put it this way, because, you know, she was not only a good friend, but also a mentor.
Okay,
you know?
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know anything about the subject that she was talking about when you came in, the spousal abuse?
Well, I was actually trying to I was having a little problem with the reception that I was getting on the radio, so I wasn't fully aware of what the topic area was. So
yes.
If you could enlighten me a little bit more, then I could maybe help you.
No, she was talking about an experience she had of spousal abuse, and how she got over it, you know, and she was mentioning that it was her faith that has helped her through all her challenging experiences. So I'm just asking if you knew of that particular incident. And
I can't necessarily recall that specific incident, but I know that our activities within the Catholic youth movement at that time really pushed us into, you know, some dark areas at times as well as some good areas.
Okay.
And, you know, one of the good things about all of it was, I think the friendship that all of us had was able to sort of bring us out of, you know, whatever dark areas we were at the same time, and we were actually celebrating as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that is one of the things that I would maybe add at this time, you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Aloun, what do you have to say about your association with this gentleman?
Carl. He was the little brother to one of my friends in the same class as I was at Alpha. Mm-hmm. And he would be always over at Alpha waiting to go home. And then, as he said, we got involved in developing the Catholic youth movement, and we've maintained a contact since then. In fact, we have a WhatsApp group of persons who worked together at that time, and we talk to each other almost every day. Great. Well, no, not almost every day. We talk to each other every day on WhatsApp several times a day. In fact, you know, that's what the technology has allowed. Mm-hmm. So we have these different groups of persons. Like I have a group of friends who I've known from the Kingston Legal Aid Clinic before I went to study law.
Okay.
I have a group of friends who are my law school friends. I have a group, you know, I have all these different groups of friends. And one of the other things that I want to talk about is, I should have sent you this song, you know, I get by with a little help from my friends.
Okay.
And that is truly an important part of my life. I get by with a little help from my friends. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is going off to Cave Hill, meeting somebody and getting pregnant in my final year at Cave Hill.
Wow.
Yes, and I mean, it's very strange to be saying that when I talk about our involvement in church and all of that, but you know, these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very ill, in fact, hospitalized in Cave Hill, which is when we discovered that I was pregnant. And it was my final year. It was very hard to do my exams. I remember having to take glucose tablets during my exams just to be able to keep my energy up.
Wow.
And in fact, the dean of the law faculty at the time offered me something which I didn't know about, but I think it exists, something which is called an agrotech degree, which is, I think, the way how now they're doing the marking of exams with the COVID, that they mark your schoolwork during the course of the year. Right. And give you a degree based on that. I actually was offered that degree.
Okay, excuse me, we're going to have to pause for a commercial break. We'll be right back. Thank you so very much. Please just hold your corner.
The next person in line, your friend at school or your co-worker, may have COVID-19 and not know because they have no symptoms. You, on the other hand, could be hospitalized for 2 months or more if you become infected. Is it worth it? Stay socially connected, but keep the physical distance. Stay 6 feet away and avoid a hospital stay. COVID-19 is not over. Protect yourself while protecting others. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Whenever you hear the following tone, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, will be giving information on an emergency situation affecting the island. Please be on the alert and listen to your radio and television for further information. This was a test of the Emergency Alert System, brought to you by ODPEM.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song. I will try not to sing out of key. Yeah. Oh baby, how you like? All I need is my buddy.
So we're back and we got your song, miss.
Thank you. I heard that, yes.
Yes. And so you're telling us about this agrotech degree. I have seen it in the literature at UWI, but how did it work out for you?
It does exist. Well, I decided I wouldn't take it.
Okay.
And that I was going to do my exams. And I did my exams. But, you know, I want to say this. When I talk about I get by with a little help from my friends, I have friends when I was at Cave Hill and when I was ill who came to my house every day and studied.
Wow.
So that I would have an environment that would encourage me to study before the exams.
Wonderful.
Yes. And that was the first experience that, you know, in that kind of way that I had where friends came to the house every day. It was almost as if they organized a schedule because they would come in a different set every day so that I would have this experience of almost like being in the library to encourage me to study so I could do the exams. And I passed and I got honors degree.
Excellent.
And I came to law school pregnant. Can you imagine? big Roman Catholic young lady like me, pregnant, and having made a decision at the time that I was not going to get married.
Okay. We have another caller. May I interrupt you for a minute, please? Good morning. Hi, caller.
Hello.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, it's Maureen.
Hi, Maureen.
Not to be left out, I just want to thank Aloun for her sense of courage, you know, in talking about her personal experiences in this way.
Yes.
And because, you know, it's such an inspiration for others, for women who have for so many years sometimes hidden things in the recesses of their heart.
Yes.
You know, I've known Aloun for so long, over 20 years, and she just has this awesome personality. I always look up to her. So to hear sometime recently that Aloun had this very, you know, I wouldn't say tragic, but rough experience, it sort of just opened my eyes very widely to say, wow, no matter what you see on the outside, people have personal lives.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not as rosy as you see, but I just want to praise her for this kind of courage and the way she's now expressing this so that others can be helped by it. And I just want to ask Aloun, what is it that she would say is the core of her abiding faith in humankind? Because she is such a giving person.
Mm-hmm.
She is so, she has such a sense of charity.
Yes.
No matter what you do to her with, she will try to find an answer. She will try to send you in a direction where you can find an answer. Mm-hmm. Or she will jump in to see if she can help for herself. So what is this abiding sense of charity that she has? What is it? What would have sustained her to this point?
Maureen, when you probably will remember that many years ago the Catholic Church started to have synod. Mm-hmm. We never had a synod before, but Archbishop Carter, the late Archbishop Carter, established this synod where what impressed me about it is that he would sit down and he would listen to the lay persons from all over the archdiocese, talk to him about the direction that the church was going in and what it is that we needed to do. And one of the things was for our own personal development with Christ. And I remember in one of the eras, in one of the times of retreat, it was at Stella Maris that year, and we were in retreat, and what came to me was John, a verse in John, when Jesus looked at St. Peter and he says, Peter, if you love me, feed my sheep.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been my guiding force.
Yes.
Peter, if you love me, feed my sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so I have tried to live in at the time. I must tell you that I thought the church had something that was called the rural missions team, where people went out and lived in communities where you didn't have a priest, so lay persons and some religious. And I thought that at the time that God was calling me to do that. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that that's not what he wanted me to do.
Okay.
He still wanted me to go to university.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted me to become a lawyer, and he wanted me to use the skills that I acquired in all of that to feed his sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the things that I have done, I have always acted in this way that says, if you love me, feed my sheep.
Okay.
And that's why I did the mediation, because there are so many people who are in conflict, personal conflict in their lives, conflicts in their communities, conflicts in all kinds of ways, that having studied alternative dispute resolution and the different ways of managing conflict, I have been able to use that as one of the ways to do a couple of things, to evangelize,
yes,
as well as to just help persons who are in difficulties. And also in my time as an MP, I've done that. And now it comes almost naturally that somebody starts to talk to me and I begin to think of how to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And God has put in my way not so much the ability for me to help them myself, but the ability to know where to refer them to, to know who to call on their behalf, to know who can help them if I can't, because sometimes I can't. Sometimes what they need is something which is outside of me, but then my network is so large and encompassing that I'm able to find somebody in that network who I can say, I can't help you, but go to this person.
Yes.
So, Aloun, well, sorry, Maureen, please go ahead. I can hold my question.
Yes. I just wanted to say finally that, I thank God for your life, Aloun, and the way it has played out in my own, in our little circle, in the CYM circle, and in the COK life and all of that. I thank God for you, and you are such an inspiration.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you. Yes. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Yes. So, do we have the first caller still with us? No, he left.
I'm sure Carl has gone off somewhere to do his accounting business.
Yes. But tell us what happened. You arrived to the Norman Manley Law School.
I have to tell you this. This is... So, can you imagine? I come home to Jamaica in the summer with this pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And I have to face everybody. I have to face church. I have to face everybody who saw me as this little Miss Prim, as this, and how I would do it. I was working downtown in the summer, and I'd go out on the road, and I'd see people, and the first thing they says, before they could ask any question, I says, I'm pregnant. I just thought I would face the world by just announcing the fact of my pregnancy.
Excellent.
When I went to register at the law school, the lady who was the registrar at the time, she said to me, oh, so is your husband going to join you? And I said, I'm not married. And she says, oh, you're not married, so you got caught then. And my response to her was, you might feel that way, but I don't. The truth is, from I was about 18 years old, I've always had problems with my periods and, all of those things. And I was told that the chances of my having a child was very remote.
Okay.
That I had what was called a retroverted uterus. And so I went through that period of feeling that I wasn't going to have a child. So from I was 18 until I was 25. And so when I got pregnant and I was hospitalized, I'll say this in Barbados, the dean of the law faculty, his wife, was the gynecologist, the OBGYN. And she said to me, we can get rid of this and nobody would need to know. And I said to her, you must be crazy. And she says to me, but law students don't have babies without being married.
Okay, hold that thought. We have to go to a commercial break, but I want to hear the rest of that story. It's lovely.
Rise and shine. Employers and job seekers, fill your vacancies or find jobs fast. No need for newspapers, no need to search. Just tune in to Vacancies and General Classifieds. Heard Fridays, 1:15 p.m. right here on Roots 96.1 FM. It's where employers and job seekers come to fill vacancies and find jobs. Call 876-461-7937 to place your employment needs and General Classifieds. Vacancies, heard Fridays, 1:15 p.m. right here on Roots 96.1 FM. A wider audience.
Denise, Isis Miller with Roots Allergy, which is the in-week thriller from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Miss Harry said it never go to all weekend. We have food for thought. Your health is a wealth. Then love bus. That is a must. And not idiot thing that. Then we close it off at the end of the week with Fire Friday, which are the talk of the street. Roots Allergy, me say your Roots Allergy. Roots Allergy, me say your Roots Allergy. Isis Miller.
So we're back alone, and we are in the mood of without worrying about a thing. But we have another caller. Good morning, sir. He's not on yet? Okay. So continue this story, please, because it's exciting. It's interesting.
Well, what I didn't say before, which I will say now, is that I met my son's father in Cuba. I had gone to Cuba to represent the university at a meeting of students of the region, meaning Caribbean and Latin America. Mm-hmm. And he was there. He was very active in what was called the New Jewel movement in Grenada at the time. And while we were in Cuba, they had the revolution in Grenada that toppled Eric Gary and brought in the new government under Maurice Bishop. And he had to go back to Grenada. He subsequently became a minister of government in Grenada and all of that was part of the reason, or the important reason why I didn't get married at the time, because being ill and having a baby with all of what was happening in Grenada, all I wanted to do was to come home to Jamaica, which I did. And then 3 years later, you know what happened. There was the invasion of Grenada, the killing of Maurice Bishop, and he was one of those who were arrested and imprisoned for about 25 years.
Wow.
I remember I had a neighbor, and just out of the blue one day, when all of that was happening, she said, you know, God works in all kinds of ways, you know. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell is Millie coming with? Because she just came up with it. And she said, Mrs. Wood, you can imagine if your daughter did get married to that man and living in Grenada right now with all of what is happening there, how you would be doing. And it struck me that she was right. God never makes a mistake. Because I have a wonderful son out of this experience.
Great.
And I have 2 lovely grandsons.
Wonderful.
One of them came here beside me earlier. And that was a particularly difficult time. This was 1983 now. And it was terrible to be in Jamaica. In those days, you didn't have the kind of technology that you have for communications.
Right.
You didn't even have good phone systems, eh?
Exactly.
And I remember just turning inward and getting really ill because of it. And my back went out. That was the first time that my back went out. And I remember seeing Freddie Hickling, consulting with Dr. Freddie Hickling, the late Dr. Freddie Hickling. And he said to me that other people going through the experience would have a nervous breakdown, but you put it all in your back.
Wow.
So instead of having a nervous breakdown, I had a back breakdown.
As only Fred Locks can say. I just love that gentleman. Fred Locks.
Yeah. And so that is something that I had to live with, yeah? And
in what year was your son born? Just for
my son was born in 1979.
Okay. Oh, just at the time. Okay.
Just when I finished my degree and came to law school. You know, I jokingly said about, imagine a girl like me getting pregnant and not being married. There was somebody at the law school who every day when I got there, she would go outside and said, let me go and look for the star in the east because there is a virgin birth coming up.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember saying to her, you know, we're in the same profession.
Yes.
But God will ensure that I will never have to deal with you in my work life.
Oh dear. We have another caller to deal with. Good morning.
I never had to.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you identify?
I am Father James. Hi, Aloun.
Hi, Father. This is Father Howard James. I don't think you might have heard him say his name. He's a friend from my early days in the church, Catholic Youth Movement again. He's from the UK, of Jamaican parents, and then he went back to the UK. And when I was High Commissioner in London, he was actually there in London.
Okay.
And then he has come back to Jamaica to work here for a while. Yes, Howard?
Yeah, I just want to say that I've listened from the beginning of Aloun coming onto the program, and I've listened to Carl and Maureen, and everything that they've said I want to endorse. But I just want to remind Aloun about a little story. You remember that lovely hamburger restaurant in Kingston called Act One? You and I went to lunch one day. You're always taking care of us. And you took me to lunch at Act One, and afterwards we walked back to your office, and you told me that you were expecting a baby. And all I could think of is, God bless her, because it's not going to be easy. And over the years, we got to hear the story that you shared earlier about who the father was and the wonder of having a beautiful son like Dominic and our grandchildren. And I just want to endorse what others have said. Aloun has been a great influence in all of our lives, wherever we are in the world today. And I can think of my sister Diane in London, who probably won't hear this program, but I'll share with her that it was on.
Watch it on YouTube.
Of being a friend and a wonderful person to us. And I'm very pleased that she shared so beautifully and openly about her life, because it cannot be easy, and it hasn't been easy.
Yes.
But she still always has a smile, and that Spirit of God in her, which allows her to be able to be the person she is. And I just want to thank God for you, Aloun. I love you dearly. You know that we all love you. And the work that you've done with the Legal Aid Clinic, with being a politician, it was a joy when you were in London of coming down to the High Commission residence with Maria, your sister, and we just remember shooting the breeze about the old days. But all of the things that you've been through, they have all come together to make you the person that you are. And I just want to say I am honored, and I honor you this morning. And I thank God that you are my friend and my sister and my lawyer, and somebody who, when I was at Exed and couldn't afford lunch, would take me to Act One for a hamburger.
Wonderful memories. Wonderful memories.
When you say that, my brother Lushy, if he's listening, every time something like this comes up, he says, I missed out. Because when I was working at the Legal Aid Clinic, with volunteering before I went to study law, every month I would take one of my brothers and sisters. I have 7 brothers and sisters, one who died just in June. And I would take out each one of them just to have a little time with them by themselves.
Yes.
So I took Charles, I took Tony, I took Maria, I took Eleanor, I took Diane. And then it was Lushy's time, was when I was going off to Barbados, and he never got it. And he has never forgiven me.
I hope you have made it up to him, though, in some shape or form.
I hope I have. But I want to say this. And Howard will tell you that our house was always open to everybody. People just came and stayed.
We all slept there. Oh, yes.
My mother would always cook enough that although there were 10 of us, she could feed 15.
Oh dear. Well,
that's it. And then my father got ill, and my mom was a housewife, and my 2 brothers went to work so that they could look after the family and so that I could go and study.
Oh, wow.
And they put their own lives on hold. My brother Charles could have been married to his wife Alzire from those days, and he waited until I became a lawyer before he got married and went off. So when I became a lawyer, it was now my time to look after the family.
Yes.
And they were still...
And Aloun, you do that very well. I mean, you really, really look after your family, and you're more than a sister to them. You know that. And they love you and adore you. And that's why I'm so pleased that you spoke about your faith, because for all that you've been through, and it's been hard, and it's been painful, and it's been hurtful to you and to your family, how you were treated, especially as you're such a loving person. It's good to hear you talk about your faith, and that your faith has sustained you and has taken you through to where you are, and God's plans for where you're going, you know. And that beautiful piece that you chose at the beginning, make me a channel of your peace. That was great. I'm just going to have to run because I'm sure other people want to call in. But when you play that piece of Bob Marley, don't worry about a thing. I remember going to an exam in Belgium, and I was worried that I didn't know anything, and that song came into my head, and I sang it right through my exams, and I did extremely well. And I just was pleased that you played that this morning as part of Aloun's story, because at the end of the day, God sustains us and helps us, and regardless of what we're going through, at the end of the day, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. And I thank God for Donnelly and for his children that have brought great blessings to your life, Aloun. I know that we're friends, and we always will be friends. God bless you all.
God bless you, and thanks for calling. Aloun, I just have one final question. Somewhere in your bio, I'd read that you had actually had a miscarriage because of the spousal abuse. Yes. Could that have affected your decision when you got pregnant in this second instance, that you're going to have your child no matter what?
No. The miscarriage came after I had Dominic. Remember, I had Dominic in my university and law school years, and the miscarriage came when I was pregnant, when I was married.
Oh, the marriage came after that. Of course. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And to tell you the truth, I've said this already because it's true, I actually prayed for God to take that child.
Really? Okay.
Yes, because by then I knew that the marriage was over. I also knew that I was going to lose that child in any event. I had made up my mind that because I was going to walk away from the marriage, because of the kind of man I was married to, I knew that I would have to walk away from the child, or I would never be rid of him.
Oh dear. Okay.
Something I prayed about.
Yes. We have one final caller, Aloun. We're just going to stick that in. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes.
This is Marsha.
Hi, Marsha. Thanks for calling.
Hi. Well, I'm really enjoying your show again this morning. Looking forward to them on Monday mornings. And your guest, Miss Assamba, well, her story is such one of strength. Thank you very much for sharing about your life. It's been an
Thank you, Marsha. Thank you very much.
It's been an inspiration, and you know, no matter what you're going through, just keep pushing, moving forward, and the power of friendship. So I'm really happy that you have shared and been so candid, and you know, so I'm really happy, and pray for strength as you go on and continue sharing your story, because it has made an impact. At least has made an impact on me.
Thank you, Marsha. Thank you. I appreciate the call.
Okay,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Thanks, Marsha. So we're wrapping up now, Willie. One final thing. Is there something you want to tell our audience? A parting shot. Some principles, something to hold on to, no matter what we're going through.
Yes. You know, none of us is an island.
Yes.
None of us. And God bring people into your life to help you. There's this saying that says people come into your life for a reason or a season.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that. I believe that God put people in your life for different things, for different reasons, and for different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And my faith is what holds me together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't argue about my faith with people who are not believers, right, because I know that I can't convince them. This is something that they have to come to themselves.
Exactly.
They have to come to it themselves. And I've seen it happen. But all I can do is offer the example But I have actually seen it happen where I pray for somebody and I say, Lord, open their hearts, open their hearts. It takes some time for some people, and some others, it happens. But, a lot of people have this Saul to Paul experience.
Yes.
And I will share my story, but I don't expect to argue it with anybody.
Exactly.
I don't.
Exactly.
And I just want to say to anybody who is going through a hard time that better days will come. Seek help.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer. Last week we celebrated Mental Health Week. And there are so many people who refuse to accept help. I know that I don't have the skill and the facility to offer counseling in that kind of way, but there are people who are able to do that. And I just want to recognize persons who are living with mental health problems, and just to say to the society that you have a responsibility to give support to persons who have mental health issues, to people who are going through difficulties. And I get by with a little help from my friends.
Wonderful. Aloun, this has been a joy. It has really...
I noticed you don't show any of my pictures.
Huh?
I'm saying I noticed you haven't shown any of my pictures.
Oh, what happened?
The photographs.
None of them came up?
No, I don't know where they came, but I didn't see them. But it's okay. Don't worry yourself about it.
Okay. Thank you so very much for being our guest this morning. Your message has been articulated well. And I'm sure some of us out there have taken note and are determined. Yes, I can do it. Aloun has done it, and I can do it. So God bless you, my sister. All the very, very best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good one. We'll be talking.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy New Week.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay.
And so we're never giving up. We're never giving up. Yolanda Adams is urging us never to give up, and we're never going to give up. So we do it again next week, Monday, at the same time, 7 to 8 a.m. Check us out on social media. You can get the full version of the video. Subscribe to YouTube and you'll get it all. So goodbye, my friends. Answer when you're called. No matter about you think whether you're equipped or not, the skills you need come. So keep your dream alive. Don't ever let it die. God bless you all and thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day and a glorious week.